As cities develop and reach further into rural areas, what are the environmental consequences? Ashley Burr explains how two proposed bridges have environmentalists deeply concerned.
Most of these are Chinook. There's one long-nosed dace mixed in there as well.
What environmentalists are calling the heart of the Fraser River could stop beating. As cities develop, they are spreading to rural plains, and if you go a little over 50 kilometers upstream from here, two proposed bridges could mean devastation throughout our freshwater ecosystem.
A couple of houses in West Point Grey are equal to the devastation of the value of the devastation of this whole ecosystem.
We've heard of housing prices pushing people out of the lower mainland, but now all this urban development is actually leaving fish homeless. Just east of Vancouver, between Mission and Hope, sits Carey and Hurling Islands, and the owners of those islands see a big opportunity to use the land for agriculture. You might wonder how islands can be home to fish. Well, as water levels in the river rise, the islands flood.
And fish move on to those flooded habitats, and so juvenile salmon really utilize these habitats. They're going to have to dike them and ditch them and drain them and isolate all of these properties. So they're going to put up buildings and farms and all sorts of stuff like that, roads and whatnot. And so that whole ecosystem will be obliterated.
The first step to determine the fate of these islands is whether two bridges will be approved to connect them to the mainland. In a letter to the BC Wildlife Federation received in February, Alan Johns-Rood with the provincial government wrote, "Ministry staff are still reviewing the potential impacts of these applications. The ministry's review includes an assessment of the potential impacts to fish and fish habitat, hydrology, and sediment transport."
The critical sort of fork in the river, if you will, is whether or not those bridges are approved, and with what sort of conditions around them.
The BCWF also has an alternate proposal for the BC government, but says it only has a short window of time.
There's a tremendous opportunity to purchase these islands. The cost of the islands is less than probably one house in West Vancouver. And that I think they're critical for the sustainability of both aquatic and terrestrial habitats in the lower mainland, and that once these opportunities are lost, you will not be able to compensate for the changes that will occur to these habitats.
Although public consultations finished last fall, the provincial government says it's still open to comments as the decision has yet to be made on the future of these islands and the wildlife that depends on them. In New Westminster, Ashley Burr, City News.